Here are some more solving inequalities. Added a few steps, made it a little bit more difficult. So the first one, notice we have to do the distributive property first to get rid of these parentheses. And this was a negative on the outside, so I made it a -1. Distribute. -1 times 7 is a -7. -1 times positive x is a -1x. Bring down the rest. Then, to get rid of this -7, we're going to add 7 to both sides. Cancels out. You have a -1x is greater than -1. Divide by -1. Divide by -1. Here, when we divide by a negative, that flips that sign. So instead of greater than, now it is less than 1. Less than 1. So I'm going to plot that up here on a number line. If this was 2, 1, 0, 3, 4, 5, we're going to put an open circle at 1 because it doesn't have an equal sign. So that means open circle. And then we're going to shade left for less than. Anything this direction. Again, here was your special circumstances. When you divide by a negative, that flips to a less than. Instead of greater than, it's less than. Here might be a good time to pause and try this one by yourself and then watch me do it. If you want to pause now, copy the problem and try to work it out just like the other one. So you start with a distributive property again. Distribute the -8 here and here. That's a -8x, and then a plus 24, less than or equal to a 72. Subtract 24 from both sides. That gets rid of that. That's 48, 48, less than or equal to -8x. Again, divide by -8. Here's that special circumstance. So now it flips the sign. Instead of less than or equal to, it's greater than or equal to. 48 divided by -8 is a -6. So if I was going to go up here and plot this, you have to be careful with your negatives again. So if I had a -6 here, this will be a -7, a -8 going backwards, -5, -4. Since there is an equal sign, you make the circle and you color it in. That means a closed circle with an equal sign. And it's pointed this way to the right, that's greater than. So we shade everything on the number line to the right of -6. This means you could plug in -6 here, work this out, and your answer would be less than or equal to 72, or any of these other numbers, -5, -4, a 0, a 10, a 12, anything above -6. Same over here, it's anything less than 1, but it cannot include 1. This one does not include 1. This one does include -6. So here we're getting super complicated. A little longer. So here we have to do the distributive property twice. So here, 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 and here. So 4 times 4v, 16v, 4 times 2 plus 8. 6 times 1 plus 6, 6 times 2v, 12v, less than or equal to, bring down the rest. Now we can combine like terms. We have a 16v plus a 12v, so that's 28 v's. Then we have a plus 6 and a plus 8, so that's a 14, less than or equal to -14. Now solve it, subtract 14 from both sides. That's gone. 28v is less than or equal to, you have a -14 and another -14 makes a -28. So to solve, you divide both sides by 28. V is less than or equal to -28 divided by +28 is a -1. So if we wanted to plot that on a number line, again, be careful with those negatives. So if we have a -1 here, this would be a 0, this would be a +1, -2, -3, and so forth. Since it does have an equal sign, we're going to make our circle at -1 and color it in because there's an equal sign. And then it's less than, so we shade left. This means you could include -1 and plug it into those V's, or anything less than that, any of the other negatives below -1. And it should work and give you an answer less than or equal to -14 when you plug it in here and there. One more with multiple distributive factors. Here are variables on the right side. So I want to show you how to work that. So I'm distributing a -5 and I'm distributing a -4. Don't forget this sign in front of it. So bring down your -8. -5 times r is a -5r. Negative times negative is a positive. 5 times 8 is 40. -4 times 1 is a -4. Negative times negative is a positive. 16r. Combine like terms on the right side. Here I have a positive 16 and I take away 5, which gives you 11r. And go bring down the other stuff. And then I have a 40, take away 4, so that's going to give me a 36. Now, probably what you're noticing is your variables on the other side. So if you want to go ahead and rewrite it now, you can, or if you want to rewrite it at the end, you can. I'm going to keep working the way it is. Subtract 36 from both sides. So here we have a -44 less than or equal to 11r. Divide both sides by 11. That's gone. And here you have r. And bring down your sign. We didn't divide by negative, so we don't have to flip it. -44 divided by 11 is a -4. Now, I'm going to rewrite this. I like the r in the front. Notice, this alligator mouth is eating the r. So if I rewrite it, that alligator mouth still has to eat the r. It's pointed to the -4. So I like to rewrite it like that. I just flipped everything around, making sure that the alligator mouth is still eating the same side. And now when I graph it on a number line, I'm going to include -4, -3, -2, -5, -6. So since there's an equal sign, I'm going to put my dot at -4 and I'm going to color it in. And anything that's pointed to the right now, we can use that rule since the variable's in the front. Greater than is this way. You have to be careful with when they're written like this because you can't graph it or shade it in the same direction unless the variable's in the front. Again, this would include -4 or any number greater than -4, like -3, -2, so on and so forth.